Hey guys, this is Carrie Rhinehart with 5-Minute Math. Today I'm going to be looking at absolute value inequalities. If you're following along in the book, it's from Algebra 1, Unit 2, and we're looking at Lesson 10. So in the previous videos, I've looked at absolute value equations and we've looked at inequalities. So this is just combining both of those things. Let's look at the example, absolute value of x plus 1 is less than or equal to 10. Now remember, with absolute value equations, you're going to have to split it into two, and the same is true with the inequalities. But remember, make sure that you get the absolute value portion by itself, which in this case it already is, but make sure of that before you move on to splitting it up. So now that the absolute value is by itself, I can split it into our two inequalities. The first one is the exact same thing, except the absolute value symbols become parentheses. And then our second equation is almost the same, but we need to put a negative in front of those parentheses. And now we're going to solve both of these and put them on a number line. So for the first one, I can go ahead and drop off those parentheses because there's nothing to distribute. And I get x plus 1 is less than or equal to 10. And then to get x by itself, I need to get rid of the 1. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. And I end up with x on the left-hand side less than or equal to, 10 minus 1 is 9. Now I need to go over to the other inequality and solve it. I'm going to distribute this negative. Remember, it's like a negative 1 here, so I'm going to distribute that negative in, which gives me negative 1x, or just negative x, and then negative 1 times 1 is negative 1, less than or equal to 10. I need to get the x by itself, so I've got to get rid of the negative in front of it and the minus 1. We need to get rid of the minus 1 by adding it to both sides. So now we have negative x left on the left-hand side is less than or equal to 10 plus 1 is 11. I need to get rid of that negative in front of the x, and it's an understood negative 1 times x. So the opposite would be to divide by negative 1. So that we end up with x on the left-hand side. And since we divided both sides by a negative, we have to flip our inequality sign. X is greater than or equal to 11 divided by negative 1 is negative 11. So now I need to put this on a number line so that we can put it in interval notation as well. So we've got negative 11, we've got 9. I'm going to put negative 11 here. 0 here, and 9 would be about there. Both of these have equal to symbols in them, so they're both going to be solid at 9 and at negative 11. We've got x is less than or equal to 9, so we need to go to the left of 9 because that's less than. And then we also have x is greater than or equal to negative 11, so we need to go to the right of negative 11 because that would be greater than. So if you notice, we end up with an and inequality because we're shading between two bounds. So if you're going to write this in the inequality notation, you could write it this way. X is in between with and. Negative 11 is to the left of it, and 9 is to the right of it. And then they both have those equal to symbols in it. If you're going to write this in interval notation, you start with your left bound, which in this case is negative 11. And since it's a solid circle, you're going to have a bracket. And then we go to our right bound, which is 9. And again, we would have a bracket here since it's solid. So those are your two answers. They're the same answer, they're just written in different forms. The first one is in inequality notation, and the second one is in interval notation. All right, I hope you guys have a great day.